show on World Football Day.
Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show on FutMex Live. I'm your host, Wiso Vazquez from FutMexSource.com, and alongside three very much talented and knowledgeable individuals from all different parts of the world, actually. From Santa Cruz, California, Banana Slug alumni and writer for such blogs like The Big Verde and Tumblr and ESPN FC. Say hello, Cesar Hernandez. Nice to see you once again, sir.
Hello again. Nice to see you, Wiso.
I feel like I'm in some kind of like dating show and meets, Cesar, eligible bachelor. Like,
I think I'm in the wrong place, guys.
All the way from New Jersey, probably had the best week ever last week, being a Cruz Azul fan. Actually, I can think of. And runs Soccer Mexicana, lived in Mexico City for quite a while. Guys, meet Jason Marquitz.
There you go.
Oh,
you got my name right.
Jason, what's up, sir?
Not too much. It was a great week. Yeah, I'm feeling great. Although, I'm like working my way into my worries about the upcoming Liguilla now.
Dude, don't worry about that.
I'm getting
Enjoy
in the right
week.
Cruz Azul fandom frame of mind for the ultimate disaster that's about to happen.
As someone that has won something like Leon, I can tell you, enjoy this week, because otherwise, what's winning without enjoying it?
That's my strong suit.
And probably one of the biggest voices in Mexican soccer, Chief Editor for Fox Deportes, has done the Mexican soccer shows with Tom and Johnny and other people for the podcast. Lives in Mexico City. Nice to have you, Eric Gomez. How are you, sir?
Thank you so much. And it would make sense that one of the biggest voices, as you put it, not necessarily the way I would put it, would be for the biggest team.
Oh, bring the American. This is what I like about that. Everyone has their team. It looks like everybody's team did make it to the playoffs except for Cesar's Chivas and Tom Marshall's Atlas. But
let's just not talk about it.
It looks like from everybody. But
Move on.
we'll go into that and the miracles and the epic failures that for this weekend, guys. We have a great show. Obviously, 45 days away, and we have a great show this week. Tonight, we're going to be jumping into Piojo's shoes for a little while, giving these guys a scenario, talking about the scary rumors regarding some of the Euro players not making it to the final list that have surfaced in the past week. Obviously, talk briefly about the embarrassments of the Libertadores and the teams that were on there, and close the show off with the miracles, the epic fails, the craziness of last weekend's Mexican League. So, guys, let's do this. Nice to have you all on. 45 days. We keep saying it. It's so close. I know in the last show, Cesar, you said I wish it was 147 or 151 days. But first thing that pops in your mind, guys, 45 days left for the World Cup, and not necessarily are we ready, but here we go. 45 days left. Eric, what do you think?
45. Coincidentally, the same number of times that Chepo said that he would not quit during his last press conference. No, 45 actually a pretty important number if you believe in that sort of thing for Mexico going into the World Cup. Croatia's top scorer all time, Davor Suker, you might remember him from the 98 World Cup tearing it up.
Who's supposed to tear us up? I mean, remember that?
Completely breaking Holland's hearts in 98. 2002 was a little, obviously 4 years later, you can't really come into a tournament as under the radar as they did in 98. But yeah, Mexico beat Croatia 1-0. This is something that is worth repeating as we're 45 days away, and Croatia is going to be that, I think it's going to be that big game that really does define if Mexico makes it through to the round of 16, because I have absolutely no faith that Cameroon is an easy 3 points, to be fair.
Very nice. 45 days. I remember that game I'm watching in 2002, and there was a penalty kick, and I almost thought he was going to miss it, but somehow it went in, and I was able to laugh at my Croatian friends next to me.
There's no way a guy playing for this team right here.
Actually, yeah, you have that, but he always gets so close. It looks like he's about to mix it, and it just goes through, and he's 100% sure taking that 100-yard dash before we come in. Obviously, Cuauhtemoc Blanco, the one and only. Cesar, 45 days. What are you thinking? What's the first thing that pops in?
Honestly, just anxiety, worry. Maybe I should go see a therapist. And I'm
young guys.
I'm definitely worried, to be honest. As I mentioned in the last podcast, I really do wish it was 145 days. I wish it was 200 days. I still worry that, there's still so many questions in so many positions. There's still, just questions in general, with the team. And I mean, take for example Croatia. I mean, they got Rakitic, they got Modric in the middle. That's going to be some huge difficulties that we're going to be having. And then I haven't even started thinking about how it's going to be like against Brazil. I know traditionally we've done pretty well against big teams, especially like Brazil, but I don't know. I can't even begin to think about that. I'm just going to take things one day at a time. Maybe start thinking about Liguilla for a little bit. Maybe at some point in early June, I'll try to remind myself that the World Cup is happening.
Well, safely for you, we have a coach that is okay. He doesn't need that many days because he already has his 23-man list right now. He doesn't even need to wait to give 30 like every other country, all 31 countries that are doing and waiting until a certain date. He already has it. We don't need that. So don't worry, man. We're good. He's ready to go. Jason, 45 days. 45 days. What's the first thing that comes in your head 45 days away from the World Cup in Mexico?
Yeah, I'm just waiting on the roster. I have my pent up rage ready to release about all the snubs and the ridiculous inclusions, and I just I'm waiting for the cue to just spew it out in a ridiculous rant. But I just need the final results so I could just give my all my angry posts about all of the people left off. So just waiting on anger.
Wouldn't it be great if Piojo pulled a Klinsmann and completely swoops in on some unknown 16-year-old Mexican-American or something, a la Julian Green? You're going to the World Cup, kid, because you're playing for the under-10 team for Real Madrid.
Cap him now. Cap him now.
Now we got cap Titus, dude. Yeah. Otherwise, the USA might come in 12 years later with their German coach and their Dutch talent scout, their 20 coach, and say, USA all the way, baby. Let's go. So,
I'm still thinking it's going to be some kind of troll job that Piojo's doing. All of a sudden, Vela comes on the list, and then everyone goes.
Just the whole country just
stops, and goes in there. I don't know, but that's a good way to go into. For me, 45 days left. I can't wait. I'm happy. I'm excited. It's regardless of what how we're prepared or not. The World Cup is always fun as a soccer supporter, and obviously with following football so much. Yes, we're a little bit. It's only 45 days away, but I can't wait to get here. And apparently, Piojo already has his list anyway, so we don't need more time to go in. I'm waiting for that May 9th date where he releases and has a release party with the media and everyone and shows his list. I'm wondering if he's going to tweet it just to piss everybody off.
He is.
He's tweeting it an hour before, and all the media just goes, kind of throws it out there.
It's not just be some arbitrary time.
He goes in. By the way, these are my 9, and he puts in everybody's.
Guy who would assure 13 reporters that they're all getting the exclusive. You know what I mean? Every list is slightly different, just so you can screw everybody over.
I think that's
slightly misspells names too.
So,
maybe just a picture. He just posts pictures with each player that he
or we can have
on his roster, just arm around him.
Or we can have the famous Hugo Sanchez where he takes a picture of his lineup and he puts it on there. Anyways. So that's a good way to go into it, guys. Let's talk about the topic that's everyone's mind. The biggest concern out there, I think, on the internet. It almost broke on last Thursday from an interview from ESPN. I think Raza Deportiva did it on their radio show. I think that they went on there and Piojo got on. They called him up and he pretty much went on and said, "Hey, you know what? This is who I have. I have 4 keepers. I only want. We can only take 3. I have 6 strikers. I can only take 4. I have 7 defenders. I can only take 6, and I have 7 mids, and I can only take 6. So they were, jotting down as fast as possible. Came to the conclusion after talking also with González Iñárritu that also Pulido was definitely going to go to the World Cup because they're talking about contract extensions and the interview. So it kind of went out there, and everybody kind of took notice. And aside from the history of Gio not going to any game, Gio, kind of not been seen by Piojo in his system, that Gio might not be going to the World Cup. And it's a very serious. It all exploded that on Thursday and seriously got some attention of it because of this. So I throw it out there to you guys. I do not think Piojo is that stupid to to seriously take one of our best players. And in my personal opinion, there is no one like Gio, in there. All of the other 5 are pretty much the same. Obviously, they have their attributes. No one's as fast as Chicharito. No one has that lethal as Peralta. But there is no one like Gio. No one could have done what they did in 2011 in the United States. No one has the experience of going through and raising in Barcelona and pretty much playing with the best. How can he leave out Gio? And in my mind, I think it's all just, speculation from the media. But at the same time, looking at what he's playing, it makes sense. So I throw that out there to you guys. Is Gio really going to be left off, or is this just, trying to? There's just some news that got out there. So throw it out there, Jason. What do you think? Gio out, in, or are we just, spazzing like we like to call it on the internet?
It definitely seems like make-believe news to me. Like the way the story came up, it seems like a really kind of created story that didn't really exist. But at the same time, like there's a really good shot that Gio's not going to be included. I mean, you look at like what Herrera's done. Like his main priority is his lineup. It's not the best talent. I mean, he's trying to fit his system. So he's taking players that have played in his system, and even though they are not nearly the best players in Mexico. So there you go. So there's a really good chance that Gio's going to get left off. I don't think necessarily related to the story, but I think of course, we're definitely in danger. A lot of these players are in danger of not being there. That definitely should be there.
And I think something that people forget to talk about is we talk about how good of a player he is, but I mean, at his age, he's 24 and he's got I think 60, 70 something caps. I think he brings a lot of experience to the squad as well. And I think that's something that we forget to talk about all the time. And I think it would truly be awful. Just because, Gio, whether we admit it or not, he definitely is able to provide moments of magic, if you will. And I think there are a few players that have the capability, and I think the creativeness that Gio has. And I think it's just, I believe what you guys say. I think it's somehow this got turned into everyone suddenly started talking about that, whether Gio was not going to be called up or not. And I think, as we still mentioned, it'd be kind of a dumb decision to not bring him up.
Stupid. I said stupid.
It's dumb, stupid, synonymous.
73 caps, by the way.
70. There you go.
Only has 14 goals in those 73 caps, and that's not dissing him, but I will say this: anytime that we've had Giovanni Dos Santos within the 4-4-2, within the confines of the 4-4-2. Where traditionally you would expect him to either play as a pure winger or as a second striker, hasn't really fit the bill for Mexico. Now we're playing in a 5-3-2 or a 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it. There's no media punta, there's no number 10 in that system. Again, you have 2 wingers and you have a second striker. So what changed? Nothing really changed. That's not to say Gio Dos Santos is not a great player, because he is. The issue is he is a system guy, I think. He's not a pure talent the way maybe Carlos Vela is. Carlos Vela is a pure talent that is able to change a game no matter where he is positioned on the pitch. Gio has shown time and time again that he is not that guy. He is a great, great big cog in a system that suits him. So what does a guy like Miguel Herrera need to do to include that great amount of talent that he has shown but isn't quite pure, if you want to call it that? Well, I think that he has to do the following. He has to either place him as a second striker that goes a little bit behind your main guy, your Oribe Peralta, your Chicharito Hernandez, and he has to give him the ball. He has to cede control of play. Is that going to happen with a guy like Herrera? No, he likes to attack using the wings. There is absolutely no reason for us to suggest that whoever's in that middle, be it Gullit Peña, be it Luis Montes, be it Marco Fabian. We saw Marco Fabian struggle mightily against the United States, playing in 2 different positions. What's making us think that Gio is going to bust out of this mold and say, hey, you can give me the ball and I can create offense for you by spreading the field? That's not going to happen. So he has to think about what is right for his team going forward and saying, I might limit my team. I might limit my offensive productivity by including, quote-unquote, the most talented player that Mexico has at the moment. So his thought is, if I bring him, is he going to be a 90-minute guy? I think he does bring him in the end, but he's not going to be a 90-minute guy. He's going to be off the bench, minute 60, with the game tied at 1 goal, and him having to grab the ball from maybe, I don't know, 10 or 15 meters beyond midfield and having him run at guys when Miguel Layún and when guys that he's going to position on the wing are so inclined to bring the play back into the middle. That's what I think is going to happen, but I really don't buy into this notion that Giovanni Dos Santos is this elixir, this magic guy who's able to provide solutions for Mexico.
And I think that's where I'm taking a step back and saying there's no way he's not going. And I think that's where the statement started. Now, is he going to start? Just like you said, he's definitely he's stuck on his system. That's why he took his team to against New Zealand, saying that he had no time to work with anybody else. That's what we saw when in Phoenix when he tried to go with Fabian having that playing that. He asked Gio, what do you want to play with? Well, he wants to be a striker. Well, that's where I'm going to have him. He had that same formation in the first half, and we got destroyed by the U.S. team, and it wasn't working. And that's where everyone started taking that way. That would be Gio. Would Gio make that much of a difference? And we haven't seen that. So great points, Eric. I think he still will take him. I think because Piojo said, I'm looking for only 4. And those 4 obviously would be Peralta, Chicharo, right? And that's where he said he had 6. Jimenez is his guy, and now that we got Pulido with that contract extension and they're looking at it, why would the FMF get involved? Because they don't want them thinking about if they're going to have clubs in the World Cup, and that I think that's what they said. Well, Pulido's going. I think those are 4. Gio is out because of what's going on. I think Gio's still going to go, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how he's going to be able to, if he's going to play or not. Just like you said, kind of the Guardado and Javier Aguirre in 2010. He didn't fit in the way in, and it's pretty much took for him to find out it was a sub that came in and everything. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it plays out. Obviously the list will come out in a couple of weeks, and I think Gio will be in there. So pretty much, but there could be a chance. It would be shocking if he's not. Wouldn't you want to at least have him on the bench? I mean,
and I wasn't making the argument either that he should be a starting player either. I think it would be ridiculous if he weren't brought along, but I don't think it would be obviously beneficial to the current system to bring him on as a starter. I think, like Eric said, he does have a good point that, and I'm still, I know it might be foolish, but I still believe in the Gio magic. But do think that hopefully, like the 60th or 70th minute, just throw him on, see what happens. Who knows? Maybe he'll be able to create something special. But as we've talked about, I don't think we're entirely sure if he would work well as a second striker.
There you go. Any other thoughts on Gio? So he's gonna keep him as a striker, or is he gonna bring him back a little more if he does go in? Where Gio will probably be better instead of just playing out there. So kind of
It's a little sad, that he has to prove that he's worthy of a World Cup spot. Given his track record, given the fact that he is, quite frankly, the best eligible player for Mexico playing abroad right now, excluding Carlos Vela. It's pretty sad, but I still think that him being a professional, he understands that, and he says, okay, if I get on the pitch any way, shape, or form, I need to be able to deliver in that limited dose or in that 90-minute dose. Is there any way that he can do that without diverging too much from the system? I don't think so. I think he's the type of guy that needs to really take charge of the match and demand the ball. Now, does Gio have that sort of that leadership, that leader mentality that is going to have him demand the ball from his teammates? I don't know. I guess we just have to wait and see. But I don't
bring in Neri
think so.
Castillo. That guy,
bring him out from hiding from
bring him out from hiding
his
from
cave somewhere in Spain.
He'll at least punch it. You know what I mean?
He'll choke a player.
We got Corona already. What do you
Apparently,
mean?
that's the leadership that we need, according to Luis Hernandez.
We'll
we
go
need
up
someone
to some
on there.
Cameroonian dude and say, "At least I'm in Europe, bro," and then just walk away.
Maybe Gio should just start playing for a position that we like. I don't know. Say for example, like right back. We don't have too many options. He just tells his coach over like Vieira, I was like, yeah, just play me at right back. We'll see what happens. I could be an option in the future.
Coach, I think also, it's been brought up. Gio coming back from injury usually takes a while, and he is back. He did play 82 minutes, 83 minutes in the game on Sunday. He didn't look to me as anything maybe out of rhythm a little bit from not playing. For
they
a while.
were playing against
He doesn't
Barcelona.
like playing against Barcelona. I've noticed. This is something that this is legit in my mind. Doesn't like playing against Barcelona. It bothers him.
He's just like, I can't score.
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
brother is just like- his brother
Ronaldinho is
watches in the
somewhere
crowd,
telling me
it's
not to do it.
He doesn't look like Ronaldinho anymore because he has the short hair.
Oh, he cut
so-
his hair completely.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll go
Doesn't
into
look Ronaldinho anymore.
he's just Gio doesn't have his locks, but is he coming back? And I think that was a concern too. Would maybe go, well, he's not 100%. If he comes out, maybe he can say that. Looking to see if he gets injured, I think that was when they were interviewing. He said, "Let's see how he is," and bringing up the injury. And that's very important. Obviously taking the healthy guys 100%. I think for him, maybe that could be his excuse if he's not taking Gio, is to say he's not 100%. He didn't. Hopefully in the next 3 weeks, Gio doesn't get injured or doesn't come out serious, because then I think we would really. That's when we got to panic and say maybe he won't bring him, and he uses that as an excuse. But who knows? The magic of Gio, like Cesar said, how can you not? But at the same time, coaches are coaches, and we've seen the stubbornness throughout the years of leaving someone that maybe should have been. Demo, for example, in 2006, and we go through it again with his Chiquis Garcia and bringing Bofo 2010, bringing obviously Conejo Perez over and starting him. So everybody has their own, and we talked about the last week who's going to be Piojo's Bofo, and when we talked about that. So, all right, moving on, with the show, it's time, a special segment brought to you by San Cuauhtemoc Candles, and we'll be having some more on the show. You can buy them at your friendly tiendita around the corner. Not really, but we are looking for sponsors if you want to come on. We'll jump in.
The lady behind the counter calls you mijo.
Yeah.
You're pushing 30.
¿Quieres uno de estos? Sí.
Yeah.
We're
We got that magazine that you only buy when you're not with your mom. Hey.
Esas novelitas. We're going to jump into Piojo's shoes, and I'm gonna give these guys 4 great scenarios, and I'll be on there.
What size shoe is he?
You have 22, actually little tiny shoes that he has. You have 22 players, guys. That's it. Your roster, you're sitting there, you're Piojo, you're sitting there, and you're telling your daughter to shut up, and you're like, all right, 22, you only have 1 more, all right? And I'm going to give you guys 2 players from across the team that you have to pick. You're going to tell me why this player over the other one, and who you choose. So get into Piojo's shoes right now, and here we go.
They're nice and comfy.
Piojo has a national team, 1 spot left. What player? Maybe these 2 are on the bubble for you, maybe not, but pick 1 player. So we'll go with Jason first. You have, obviously, the keeper. We already know that Corona is pretty much going to make it, and obviously you have Memo that hopefully is going to make it. But Talavera or Munoz? Who's going to be that third one? Who's going to get a lucky ride? Obviously, Memo has been doing it for a while. That's going to go in there. And you have to pick 3. Maybe not so controversial, but you still have to pick 1. Is it going to be your buddy from America, or is it going to be probably one of the best keepers in the league right now? Jason, you can only take 1.
It's got to be Talavera. I mean, it might not be, but it's got to be Talavera. Talavera is a great keeper. Extremely underrated, in my opinion, as a keeper. He's a smart player, and I think he's highly valuable. I'd love to see him in the team. I think he's just a great keeper. I like the keeper thing. Like the argument is always just messy. But I think the thing that always gets lost, we look at how they performed in big games and how they performed in tournaments, but most of that's crap. Goalkeepers should be looked at as their entire body of work. What can they do? What have they done over their time? And Talavera is just a great keeper, and he continues to show that. He's my guy in that situation.
Do for you, though? Realistically,
nothing. But I mean, Talavera, I don't know. He's I don't know. He looks like maybe he could be a jovial guy on the bench. Maybe mix it up a little bit or something. I don't know. So I'll take him.
Talavera, Eric.
You can make an argument for. You can make an argument for a third keeper being somewhat important, or just giving them the opportunity to rise up as their career moves on. 2006's third keeper was Memo Ochoa. But then again, 2010's third keeper was Luis Michel, who's now tearing it up in Costa Rica. So how important is that third keeper? I submit that not so much, not very important. I still think that Corona is going to start, just given Piojo's statements, given his MO. And I think that beyond that, you have to think of Ochoa as being your second keeper. If you're Miguel Herrera, I would certainly have him in the mix for the starting job. And then the third keeper role is obviously not going to be based on talent because it is the third keeper. So who do you pick? You pick Moises Munoz, and that's who I think he's going to take.
All right.
He could be a better hype band.
All right, Cesar, do you have Talavera or Munoz? Are you going to side with Eric or are you going to go with Jason?
I'm agreeing with Jason, but with Talavera. But as I mentioned, I think on our last podcast, I think that due to the fact that when was the last time? I might be proven wrong, but when was the last time that a goalkeeper got serious time in a World Cup? So I could see Piojo. He actually knows Munoz. He's played with not played with him, but he's actually coached him in the past. So I could see him choosing Munoz as well. But to be honest, I think all of our keepers are pretty good, so I have no qualms with whoever is starting.
All right, so you're picking Talavera.
Yeah.
All right, Talavera. For me, I would think Munoz also. I think it's America. Here you go. You brought him. He's been there with the team. He was there. So he's been kind of all along, and it's part of this America crew that he'll have, and it's part of that. And yeah, is he really going to make some time? But we'll see. Moving on to the kind of a defense, and especially the way that he runs his style of play. It's two players. One, you have to pick one, Ponce or Guardado. Obviously, Ponce having a great season, and Guardado not so much, but we know the talent that this guy has. And obviously, let's keep in mind that we don't know what's happening with Guardado. Is he really injured? Is he not? Is he done for the season? Is he looking at extension? Is he going to go to Chivas with La Volpe? We don't know. So who would you take right now if you had to pick one? Ponce or Guardado? Started back out with Cesar.
Guardado has been one of my favorite players for a very long time. I love the guy, and I think it's a shame that it was a big risk for him going to Bayer Leverkusen. I think that could have potentially, been a catalyst to his career. But unfortunately, he's had a lot of bad luck, and he hasn't especially done well with the chances given Bayer Leverkusen. So and Ponce has had a much, much better season. When you're looking at the two of them, I'm gonna have to choose Ponce, and I feel like Guardado would be able to. You can make an argument for him just because of as I've mentioned before, his experience and his the times that he's played with the national team. But considering the fact that he's still possibly injured, the fact he isn't getting a lot of playing time with Leverkusen, it's unfortunate. I like Guardado, but I think I would choose Ponce.
Interesting choice, leaving one of the guys 2006 coming in 2010, and other than I can think of, maybe Rafa and Massa probably has the most caps on there, especially with World Cup experience. Good, yeah. Eric, you have to choose right now. Ponce or Guardado is your last day. Go for it.
Yeah, Guardado has 100 caps, but I think we really harken back to his appearance against Argentina in 2006 as the last time Guardado really actually changed the game for Mexico. That was 8 years ago. How much longer?
He had a goal against Venezuela, I think, in 2007.
He scored a great goal, I think, against Costa Rica back in the 2011 Gold Cup. But that was part of a larger framework with Mexico just absolutely being unbeatable for that particular tournament. I don't really think that Guardado was the guy for that game. I don't think he has been the guy, or he has been a player that has positively affected Mexico in any game in quite a while. So, it's pick your poison, really, because I also don't think that Ponce is going to be that guy that you can plug into that system and can create havoc in favor of Mexico. He was very, very close to breaking Jason's heart in that final gasp for Toluca. What was it, Wednesday? Mm-hmm. He just got a cannon off 30 yards out. It was barely batted away from Corona, and then Velasquez did what he did. But yeah, I think right now you have to respect the fact that Ponce is up and coming, whereas Guardado's on the downturn. You don't really know where his health is at. I submit that you take Ponce, even though this is a harder sell for me because Guardado now has the benefit of experience. He is a guy that you can bring in, being 26, 27 years old. I think he's almost 28 now, actually. And he can talk to some of the younger guys and say, hey, you know what, man? They dropped me into this game when I was 19 years old. It's all good. You're going to be fine. But still, I'd take Ponce.
Ponce and Ponce. Jason, throw it over to you. One spot left.
I'm going to keep the consensus and stick with Ponce. I think a lot of the 2013 L3 problems are laid at the feet of Chepo, rightly so. But some of the players that really let down. Like one of the highlights for me was Guardado. Like he was terrible, just plain terrible when he was out there,
dribbling in straight lines.
just so bad in every way, and just begging him not to shoot, and he continues to just take these horrible shots, and just not good. So I don't want to see him back on the team. I'm kind of with Cesar. I do like Guardado. I like the idea of him as that left wing back, but I still prefer Ponce. I like the way Ponce is playing right now is really, really great, and you'd love to see him in the team, especially going forward for the future as well.
All right, Ponce. It's kind of a trick question because obviously Guardado's not okay right now, so he's not playing. So you got to look at that, and that's huge. But if Guardado was, let's say, La Coruña days, not tearing it up, but obviously playing well and playing regularly, I would pick Guardado because of that leadership. You have to have some of the guys. I mean, as much as it's all about playing, once you get there and you get into the stadium, in Fortaleza against Brazil, or you start at Cameroon, it freaks people out. This is a World Cup. This is what you look for, having someone that's there, the leadership, obviously. But he's not playing. He's kind of not there.
And you know what? Guardado has been good in limited quantities, as I mentioned before. He lives off of that Argentina game with the national team. And then, the whole reason Valencia was so eager to buy him, to snatch him up, they didn't really buy him, it was a free transfer, was the fact that he scored about 12 goals in that season where Deportivo were relegated. And that, to me, is kind of the, you open and you shut the case on Guardado. He's a guy who can kill it at a lower level, but when you put him up against grade A opposition week in and week out, he's going to be uneven. And Valencia found that out really, really quickly. I think all of us stateside were thinking, oh man, why are they pushing him back from that left wing position onto that left back position? And you would get all these pundits saying, oh, well, you know what? The guy who's playing left back is injured. They need to have somebody there. That wasn't the reason. He was just not cutting it. And we found that out too little too late, or at least in Chepo's case. And as Jason mentioned, that was part of his undoing. You can't really stick with a guy who's been crap for the last 10 or 15 games at the national team level and say, oh, you know what, he's going to turn it around. He's quite clearly not turning it around. Big shout out to my man Miguel Ponce, Sacramento native, by the way.
Oh. All right, well, we've answered that. We got Ponce pretty
much. He's from San Jose, so it's like 20 minutes north of me. So
NorCal represent.
I know, and I don't think they speak that. I tried to talk to them in English, and they weren't that.
Ponce went to high school in Sacramento, but I don't think his English is that.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not like Moy. Moy says so. It's kind of funny, but all right. Well, Ponce is going to be the man according to you guys. Yeah. I still think it's going to take Guardado. I just on how he is. And the leadership that he has, but we'll see. I have been wrong many times. Third scenario for you guys: we're trying to find someone, but just Fabian overall. I mean, we don't have to put him. We can put him against Gio. We can put him against Topo. Could it be that last spot? Maybe he has everybody, and it's not necessarily 2 spots coming in. But is Fabian gonna make it? Because about 2 months ago he wasn't. He went to the Phoenix game. Piojo obviously said, "I'm bringing him in because everybody has asked for Fabian, because I already have. I don't want to give anybody hope. He's obviously doing better, getting that Champions the title, and obviously doing what he does best, probably one of the best games. So is Fabian pretty much going to be on the last list? He's against one of another spot. Who will you take, Fabian or ex-player? Eric, start with you in the middle. Is he going?
I mean, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Marco Fabian, who's a guy who he's night and day. He is capable of doing exactly what he's doing for Cruz Azul right now, what he did for Chivas about 3 seasons ago, what he did for the Mexican U23 team right before the Olympics. He tore it up for in the CONCACAF qualifiers, and he did it at Toulon in France. He's also the type of guy who can disappear for 10 or 15 games, and that is a risk that you definitely cannot take when you're going into a tournament that is only 7 games long if you're very, very lucky. But still, who would I rather take? Would I rather take Marco Fabian, or would I rather take Gio Vazquez, Juan Carlos Medina, when we already have like 6 defensive mids? Would I rather have a guy like Zavala from Monterrey? but
Oh,
I'd
God.
rather even take
Oh, God.
an
No.
extra wing back. Like,
I'll go instead of Zavala, to be honest.
Yes,
I don't
please.
like Zavala, and I never have, but that's a personal preference with his style of play. That's nothing
Hey, he's tall.
to do with him personally.
Yeah, tall. He is. He's tall.
Yeah, I mean, still, would you rather have an extra wing back like Enrique Perez or Rogelio Chavez instead of Marco Fabian? I would not. So you do have that's a weighted gamble. You don't know which Fabian you're going to get for the tournament, but you have to assume that if Gio is on the bubble, then man, you've got to take a guy like Fabian who's going to be capable of a certain display at some point during the game, 60th, 70th, 80th minute of just grabbing the ball, twirling around two guys and just popping one in the top corner. So yeah, I take him absolutely,
Absolutely.
and I leave Zavala out if it's my choice, and I leave Medina out even if it's my choice.
All right, good. I think. Well,
So
we
do
already
you
know
think-
what Jason's going to say, so we're not even going to go to him. But no, just kidding, Jason. Obviously, as a Cruz Azul fan, but take your Cruz Azul hat off. I mean,
I've been a
Fabian.
Fabian guy for a long time. When he was at Chivas, I was a Fabian guy. I've been waiting for him to get into the main senior team for a long time now. He definitely deserves a spot. He should absolutely be there. He's someone who, I don't know. I kind of like what Eric was saying. Like, you know, you look at those other guys on the bubble, like those other guys who kind of very plain what they're going to give you. You know, Fabian's going to could bring you something special. I also kind of think the up and down kind of narrative that's tacked onto him is kind of a little bit crap. Like, I don't really buy it. Like, think about the Chivas teams that he's been through. I mean, we talk about, like, going through a bad spell of games. I mean, in every set of those games, he had a different manager being told different things and different ways to play. So, like, I mean, I expect him to go through some ups and downs. I mean, a lot of that was injury-related, too. He had, he went through some injuries there. Like, I really think, like, you were talking about going to the World Cup. Like, is he not going to show up? Is he not going to, like, bring his best effort? Like, I mean, I would expect the best of Fabian when you bring Fabian. So yes, bring him, please.
All right, good. Fabian always make himself some kind of news for the good or the bad, whichever team he's in. But just like Eric said, taking the leadership and
Keep him away from those caipirinhas, though. Those
very,
things are
very.
weak.
And I was that in my list. You know, you can't go into those kind of places. Cesar. Fabian, make it last guy coming in. You know, actually, you want to throw it out there. You know, maybe you have Gio or Fabian. Just kidding. No, we'll just keep it with Fabian. Otherwise, is Fabian going to make it in your list?
Yeah, no, like everyone else is saying, I agree. And actually, I have a little bit of both perspective. I do think that Fabian was a little on and off in the past, but I think recently, I think the argument could have been made in the past that, yeah, he would show up to some games, yeah, he wouldn't show up to some. But I think with Cruz Azul, he's definitely shown for a while that he is he's at least much more consistent than he used to be. So I think, like Jason said, I think the argument that he is a consistent player, like, I think that's no longer relevant. And, just like we were talking about Gio, Fabian's had some pretty spectacular goals in the past, so I mean, he could definitely be a utility player in the midfield. So definitely bring him. Definitely bring him instead of Gio Vazquez. I think I'd prefer Hector Herrera in the middle, anyways. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
All right. Well, it looks like everybody, and I'll stick with it. Obviously, Fabian. I think for everybody, I think Piojo's going to watch our show and go, "You guys have no idea what you're talking about." And it is harder than just having, is Fabian in or out? Take it out there. It is pretty hard. Obviously, deciding there's going to be some people out there, and that's what we're going to see on May 9th. His list is going to come out. He's going to have a press conference just for all of us.
Dude, he should have like a 2-hour special.
Yeah, right. Having guests every there, maybe
The decision.
Moderato comes out and comes in and plays and does that. And here it is, guys. The final list. A little bit about that, just some news. El Tri, obviously, FIFA says 30 players, I think, on May 12th. He's going to go before that and say, I'm going to take it out 23. He's not going to release the other 7 players, but I'm sure we'll get to know when FIFA releases the 30 players, and we'll see that. Then I think in June they'll get together. finally to have that list. And I think that's where maybe those other 7, if someone gets injured, they can still be on there. They can still make the last 23. So I'm sure that list is also going to it's going to be pretty interesting. What 7 players was he contemplating and coming in? And we can see a lot from that. Or is he just going to put 7 random players just so
Blanco, Gerardo Torrado, let's see, Conejo Perez, who else should we bring in?
to have. So it'll be interesting. Other L3 news, anything else about L3 this week? 45 days away, we talked about that. I think, the red jersey, right?
Yeah.
Big news. Let's see, actually, yeah, Eric has one.
There,
right
got
now,
all the jerseys red.
You have it in front of you, Eric. Is it red or is it orange or is it orange?
I'm colorblind. I'm the worst person you can ask.
Jason and
But-
Eric are colorblind.
Let's just call it
girlfriend said
orange.
it was red, so I'm going to go with her because I cannot disagree with my girlfriend. Otherwise, I am a very sad man. So
All right.
it's red. It's a red jersey.
I would say this is red.
That's.
It's
now
like
I'm
a
just-
bright.
Now I'm confused.
It's like a orange.
Yeah,
like
orange. I
the
think is a good
Orange.
thing.
Anyways, the Charlie Brown.
I like the back though.
No, actually, the back's kinda cool.
What's going on in the back there?
Oh, I haven't even seen them. Yeah.
There it is.
Oh, nice.
Get
Actually,
your
parents got to try
shirts
tricolor.
at
Yeah.
Adidas for $397. Man, are they expensive? So the red jersey, obviously, because of Brazil, they said they needed to have their colors what they're wearing. I
Of
think
course.
they're wearing the green.
They are climacool, whatever the hell that means.
It means if it's you sweat, it's
That means this is $300 now.
That's correct.
Is it really $300?
Actually, I have no clue, to be honest.
I think
This was-
I think the officials, like the actual ones, it's like 150, and I think the
Wow.
other like
This
$90.
was $90.
Yeah, $91 at anyway. Like the official ones that the players wear are like $150. And if you
there you
remember,
go.
like the old Adidas one for last World Cup, where they had like that weird Ninja Turtle
Yeah.
thing that you couldn't get, I think those were
Yep.
like $350, $400. Like someone would pay that much money to do that. That
I
probably.
think I did.
Yeah, I
so.
think that probably be me. I think it's actually right over there, but we'll go ahead. Morons.
As if it could make you play better.
Oh, of course. So, yeah, you're going to have, because Brazil's wearing I think, green first, and then we'll be wearing the yellow, I think, against Mexico. The other color for us would have to be red. So, if you want to find out what actual we'll be wearing, just go to FIFA 14 in the game, and you'll see that we wear pretty much green, and then red, and then green again. So, yeah, it was no surprise for me, actually. They have that. They already have all that.
By the way, I love Coca-Cola and Krispy Kreme donuts, and what's we could toss in there.
All right, so the next I thought that was like a 2-liter, by the way. I was like, geez, it looks so amplified.
I'm messing around.
Isn't it weird that Coca-Cola sponsors like half of the teams in the World Cup field? Like, how are they supposed to make you feel patriotic and nationalistic when they're doing the same thing for like Brazil and like Cameroon and all these other countries out there? It's crazy.
I always just have this funny image in my head of just like players having to drink Coca-Cola before a game and like I don't know, like freaking out
Yeah,
before
That
a
would be a
match.
terrible idea, I think.
At least they're not smoking like Socrates, in the 70s. It's just going in there. I think Demo used to also smoke. But anyways, keep going. Any other El3 news that kind of out there? I don't think they have to travel as much from the Santos that came out. They're going to stay in the second game. Fortaleza 3 days. They're just going to go, and they found a place to go in there. So
I finally found out why Piojo had that haircut from the 90s. I don't know if he was like a Billy Ray Cyrus fan, but apparently he's a huge Rod Stewart fan. And
Jesus
that's what inspired his haircut
always
from the 90s.
Cesar with great El3 news. With
No,
scores.
No.
Fashion news by El
I'm
Cesar.
just
brought
going
to
down
you
a bad
by-
road here.
I'm gonna go into that press conference and just like in a red spandex suit, going, "Do you
Yes.
think I'm sexy?" and so forth,
No, don't do that.
to get a rise out of him.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, moving on forward with our that was our 3 segment. Obviously, we always go into that. We can bring you from fashion news by Cesar, or where we're going. By the way, digging the hat, man. I really am. It's a nice
thank you.
little hat on there. He's putting on already the red, Eric, and with the Cruz Azul over there, Jason. Okay, guys. Let's talk about really quickly Libertadores, and also maybe just touch on.
Gotta get those half and half jerseys. Gotta be like the half red orange,
Oh,
and
God,
then
don't
like
even-
I want that one.
There you go.
the red and the yellow. We've only seen green and yellow. We haven't seen the red and the yellow. Let's talk. Let's talk Libertadores, guys. Last week, everybody was so excited. I think on our predictions, who was going to make it. I think I said both are going to make it, spazzing on the fact that in there, but being let down. Guys, in your head, who really failed? Was it Leon or was it Santos? And why?
Gotta be Santos. Santos was the 3rd seed. They went up against the 14th seed. I know that was a little facetious because Lanús is doing so well in Argentina, but still, you take a look at that team, you take a look at what they bring to the table, Santos, not Lanús, and they are, quite frankly, in my opinion, player by player, one of the best squads in the entire continent. Take a look at a guy like Darwin Quintero, who was just destroying South American opposition as well as Liga MX opposition. Oribe Peralta, at the peak, at the zenith of his career and his powers, not being able to come through at home against a team that, had gotten a result at home in Argentina, but by no means was that result a definitive one. Santos could have played this a lot smarter. I'm actually very surprised because, the whole malinchismo argument can come up again when discussing a guy like Pedro Caixinha. Caixinha being Portuguese, I'm thinking he's been at that job for 2 years. What has he done for Santos Laguna? Santos Laguna is a very, very talented team. You would at least have expected them to have challenged for a title by now in the Caixinha regime, with the beer company backing them for the first 18 months, but now a very wealthy group of investors headed by Iraragorri bankrolling him. They've done nothing. Now you're looking at a position in which Oribe Peralta, even at 30 years old, could command a high transfer fee to go to Chivas or even go to Europe. And that you might think I'm crazy, but America might troll Chivas just for the hell of it and buy him after the World Cup. Because I definitely see a coach like Mohamed using Oribe Peralta. So Santos Laguna is a team that, quite frankly, should not be in this position. And that's no disrespect to Lanús. They're obviously a hell of a team. But if you fly down 5,000 miles into Argentina, being Caixinha, and you take a look at that team against a very difficult opponent in the Argentine League, and you jot down your notes and you go back to Torreon, which they nickname the House of Pain, which only makes me think about 90s hip-hop, and you don't pull out the result, that's a complete failure. Leon is a shadow of the team, and this is Mexico in a nutshell. They have the same squad, but 4 months later, they are the shadow of the team that won the title and completely destroyed these guys over here. But you still did not really expect them, even if they beat Bolivar, to go beyond the quarterfinals. Who was the team that you had in mind in that Final Four? For me, it was Santos Laguna. They failed. Leon didn't do themselves any favors in that regard as well, but that big L on the forehead is belonging to Santos more so.
Santos, that's right. I mean, they had it. They got some kind of favorable, obviously, score down there, just like you said, Eric. So I bring it over to Cesar. If you watch the games, who failed? Who was? You couldn't believe it. I know for at least, maybe I said both of them were going through, but at least one. And obviously, being a Leon fan, I was very optimistic. I think Leon could do it, especially. I think that's when they come out. It doesn't matter how much they travel; they'll be fine not playing. And they did get the tie, but obviously it wasn't enough. Cesar, for you, who's the biggest failure out of both of them?
I guess it would be easy to say Santos. If we're going to say someone specific, we're going to say Rafa Marquez. But I think on the other hand, now I think something to consider though is the fact that now they could focus all their energy on the Liguilla, and I think that going forward it would have been really, really difficult with them with their schedule. And I know Santos were having some troubles. And I know there was in the past, Oribe Peralta was having trouble with his form, and a lot. They were saying that it had a lot to do with the fact with how busy he was. So maybe now, maybe this is kind of it's the silver lining is, maybe they're going to do better in the Liguilla now, as opposed to them possibly getting out in the semifinals of Libertadores. Maybe now they'll be able to do better. So, if we're going to say a specific player, I'm going to say Rafa, but if we're going to say team, I'm going to agree with Eric, and I think that Santos definitely had, as you mentioned, they were ranked number 3. They did so much better during the group stage of the Libertadores.
All right, good. I mean, even if we would have won, both teams would have won. Obviously, they would have faced each other, so we would have seen, Bolívar versus Santos. They would have to travel a lot. So, I mean, who knows how it would have went from there? But I think everybody was
That
expecting
pisses me off, though. You would have at least had a Mexican team in the semifinals without the huge handicap of having to travel to South America for a couple of weeks. Let's assume that León doesn't make it into the playoffs, given that they're still alive in the Copa Lib. You might have seen a resurgence from León going into the semifinals. You put them. I mean, we all know that this is Matosas' last stand.
Mm-hmm.
He's leaving after the World Cup. So the players, they go all out for him ostensibly, and whoever you face in that semifinal match, being an Argentine team or a Brazilian team, probably you give yourself a shot in the dark to make it to the final. Plus, there is a 6-week layoff.
Yep.
These are the last Copa Lib games for quite some time until we come back and get to the final stage, and that's going to be late July and then early August. Who knows what happens by then? Maybe your top Atletico Mineiro squad, Ronaldinho picks up an injury. Maybe Lanús or whoever you might have had to face. Even if Santos was kicked out of the Copa Lib, maybe they lose a couple of guys after the World Cup due to the transfer regulations. You have no idea what happens with these long layoffs. I hearken back to the 2002 Copa Lib. America was an absolute whirlwind of a team back then with La Puente. They win the title. The World Cup comes along. They basically retain the same squad, but they lose a little bit of rhythm after the World Cup, and then they faced that semifinal with Sao Caetano, I believe, and they just rip them out of the water. I have to stop talking like a fan, but who knows what happens? So you give León a little bit more time, maybe they do something great. You give Santos Laguna a bit more time, and Caixinha with supposedly that huge brain of his, maybe he comes up with something great. I think that this was the worst and the most wasted of opportunities for Mexican teams in the Copa Lib for quite some time.
Yep, and we're always talking about what's the next step, and here we are fighting it throughout the whole Americas, and it was definitely an epic failure on everybody's side, personally, not only because I'm a fan, but I also agree. Jason, with the consensus of everybody, Santos, obviously, who had it worse, obviously, who failed that night with their games.
Yeah, I think probably Santos the most potential to do the most, but at the same time, they're a team for me that they're always kind of a little bit up and down. I think they have a group of players that can show up one night and not show up the next night. So, a tournament like that, it's not like completely shocking that something like that would happen. Whether you put that on Caixinha or you put that on some of those players that don't really show up. So it's just disappointing. I don't think in a tournament like this it should be any kind of reflection on the Mexican League and Mexican soccer. It's just the way it goes. It's just disappointing.
Especially those two teams, right? I mean, if it would have been somebody else, sometimes we see that. And how many times? I mean, when León won, I can't wait for them to get to the Libertadores. They're going to tear it up. We've said that every year. And I thought that's what these two teams would have done. So, great. We touched on it a little bit. Rafa Marquez getting that red card. Everybody, went crazy on him. Obviously, it's something to be mentioned. Is he going to do that in the World Cup? It didn't seem like he did that for Barca. It looked like it only against, teams he really gets pissed.
I don't know. Maybe it's like an inevitable thing. It's like, statistically speaking, now it's probably not going to happen for like another year. So it's a good thing it happened. During
the apologists will tell you precisely that he played as a center back, and that it's inevitable for a center back to pick up a red card. I agree with that. We're not talking about standard red cards that you might get in that risky position. I'm talking about, hey, I'm losing here, and this game's going to end, so I might as well just, kick the crap out of somebody. That's the type of thing that really angers me about a guy like Rafa Marquez. You're 35 years old, bro. Doesn't matter if you're a soccer player. It doesn't matter if you're my CPA. You're just a crazy bastard who just goes off on people whenever things don't go your way. And that needs to change ASAP, because he did do it for Barcelona. The fact is, we don't really think about it because it wasn't a title-defining type thing, and he used to win everything with Barcelona. There was no hugely frustrating moment that would get him, but I submit this. Back in 2010, when he knew that he was out the door, and Guardiola was only using him as this sort of weird second half sub if Puyol was tired or unavailable due to the Champions League or whatever. Marquez didn't like that. And during the game, he brought down Roberto Soldado in the box with the team up 3-0 just because he had gone by him. But it was a purely desperation tackle. Even if he gets by you in that situation, you've got Victor Valdez, who at that point in time was a better keeper than he is now. Maybe he makes that save. You have no idea. No, he just tackled Soldado to the ground, got a straight red, and Barcelona, even with that amazing group of talent, ended up winning that game 3-2 just because Marquez put them in danger. Now, I do believe that after that game, he only appeared in 2 games for Barcelona after that. So Guardiola, he was at least consistent with looking at Marquez and saying, man, I mean, you're just not in the right frame of mind to be playing. What have Gustavo Matosas and Miguel Herrera done to bring Rafa Marquez into that frame of mind? They've done absolutely nothing. Matosas, he doesn't care anymore. He's out the door. He might have 2 more games in his tenure at León. And Miguel Herrera is the ultimate apologist. He's not going to back down from his captain 45 days before the World Cup. He's going to say, all right, you're in. That's just Rafa being Rafa, folks. Calm down. I don't think that that's the right attitude. I think you have to show some of that fire, some of that leadership that you're supposed to have as the national team coach, and say, this is unacceptable. I don't want him doing what he did in 2002. I don't want him doing what he did in the Copa Lib. But no, he says, I'll deal with him. Relax. Calmate. I don't think that that's the right attitude, and I do think that if Mexico are put in a similar position, Rafa's going to adopt that attitude and say, I'm not playing another World Cup. I'm not going to appear for Mexico beyond this. I really do believe that he's going to retire from the national team after this World Cup. So when Mexico inevitably loses or is kicked out of the World Cup, we might see him just elbow a dude or just completely go crazy. And that's what I'm afraid of, because Mexico's international reputation, we can't be, thinking, a huevo, por lo menos golpeó a alguien. No, we got to think about winning.
No, that's a national consensus.
I think the unfortunate thing is
we lost, but I gave some dude a black eye.
That's just how it is.
Response.
When we saw it, we all went, of course it's Rafa Marquez. So as for those apologists that goes, he'll be fine, he'll be whatever, you knew if it was somebody else, it'd be okay. He did come out and apologize. I can't get this way, I got a problem, blah, 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 on his Twitter, it came down. But, everybody keeps saying he's going to captain his fourth World Cup, where he wasn't the captain in 2010. It's not uncommon, but I think Piojo ultimately will. He already said it. He's stubborn. Yeah, he's going to be my captain. Rafa y 10 más. So we'll see that. So. Yeah,
but are there really going to be that many high pressure situations with that formidable back line that Mexico has right now? And
no.
There's really not going to be a ton of frustrations for him. So I wouldn't worry. It's all good.
I would not be
we'll see where that goes.
Rafa and Hector Moreno and Diego Reyes. I'd be concerned with Rafa being the slow as molasses dude in that trio.
And the guy in front of him, too.
I haven't seen him really get burned, aside from that from the first national team game,
USA burned him a couple
South
times.
Korea, too.
I think it was South Korea. It was
Korea,
Nigeria. Nigeria who burned him.
Well, Nigeria as well, actually.
But we'll see where that goes. If everything's in the mid, according to Piojo, Rafa shouldn't get burned. So, yeah. We'll see where, obviously, the defense is the worrisome, and we can do that.
Love to see Neymar.
Libertadores, guys, let's go into, obviously, one of the crazy weeks. So many scenarios, so many different things that could have happened in this last weekend. Looking at my León, I definitely was asking Jason and Steven from the Orange blog, what are the scenarios what needs to happen for León to make it? And not only that, Chivas just had one chance. Guys, I was talking about it 2 weeks before, how boring it was, how mediocre it was, and then came to the last week, and I think this is what people go. Everybody had a chance. Obviously, Eric putting on his America shirt on goes in there, but I'll throw it out to you guys. Were you expecting such a crazy weekend? Would you expecting some team to go 4-3? Coming back obviously to Pachuca. What stuck out for you? What was your I guess maybe your best moment, or pretty much what are you glad that happened? I mean, I'm glad Leon made it, and I can't believe for all those scenarios because I'm a fan. But at the same time, I mean, I cannot believe they made it. We're in a league where a guy, that needed to happen. There's so many teams, maybe the mediocrity of the league. So I'll throw it out there to you guys. Craziness, yes. Epic fails, maybe. The last week of the Mexican League. So tell me, Jason, obviously for you, you're coasting with your Cruz Azul, but at the same time, you didn't want to face Leon.
No, I mean, they're not an 8 seed. I mean, they're coming off Libertadores. They weren't prioritizing the league. They're not an 8 seed. So, I mean, it's like a real disadvantage for Cruz Azul that they're, finished 13 points above Leon, but it doesn't feel like that because Leon was I mean, they weren't prioritizing the league, so they're coming in as a stronger team than, like, let's say something like, Tijuana or Pachuca I'd much rather have as a Cruz Azul fan. But this weekend, that obviously the Querétaro Pachuca game was just insane. I still can't even come to grips with what happened there. But the thing that stuck out to me the most actually was I cannot believe Morelia just fell apart against Puebla on Sunday. I mean, I just assumed they were going to take care of business, and I don't have a ton of faith in Morelia. They're a mess. Their signings over the winter were ridiculous, and just bringing in a bunch of old men defenders, it was just it wasn't going to work out, and it didn't. But take care of business against Puebla and qualify for the playoffs. Shocking that did not happen. So, and they really let me down in that regard, letting Leon sneak in that way.
Oh, that would have been easy against the Goats, against the Chivas, right? No, you got us. You got the Lions. All right, Cesar, what stuck out for you? I'm sure the 4-3, the Pachuca game, but what was probably the most?
I think actually even and I know no one probably cared about it, but I was having a good time watching the Chiapas and Atlante game. Chiapas with going into I did definitely.
Someone having a good time watching Chiapas? Please let me write that down. Hold on a second.
I was the only one, but
that's his Bofo.
But yeah,
7 goals in that game, right?
Going into the weekend, I definitely expect a lot of goals because considering goal differential, a lot of teams needed plenty of goals, and Chiapas still had that tiny smidgen of hope. It's maybe if we score 58,000 goals, maybe we'll be able to make it into the Liguilla. So I think that's what stood out for me, and especially after that ridiculous first half. But yeah, I mean, there's that. There's a Querétaro Pachuca game, and then of course, the Chivas and Monterrey game was just a complete letdown. And as I mentioned earlier, I actually got so bored I left and started washing some dishes for 5 to 10 minutes.
Washing dishes over watching Chivas. Wow.
Yeah, it was close by. It was starting to, stack up.
It's that girlfriend thing. It's that girlfriend thing.
It is that girlfriend thing, man.
All right. And Eric, up to you. Obviously, the shock of this weekend, the craziness. What was your, what was your overall takeover this weekend?
I like that Leon made it. There's a smidgen of consistency within the Liga MX that the defending champion has a chance to repeat, despite not having the best season. I don't think that they're going to have that back-to-back title charge, but I still think that they can be a surprise for Cruz Azul. They can put up a fight, definitely. But beyond that, this was a really mediocre season in my mind. To think that America in 5th place did not get 50% of their points, 25 out of 51, then that means that you had 13 teams in the Liga MX that did not live up to that standard. I think that there's an echelon, a very clear echelon with Toluca and Cruz Azul, and then there's everybody else. So here's hoping that it doesn't really come to pass, that we have a little bit more fight within that Liguilla, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
Nice. For me, obviously, the craziness of the weekend, I can't believe Leon made it, and they went in and they did their thing. Just looking, obviously, the matchup Cruz Azul versus Leon, Toluca versus Cholos. You have Pachuca and Pumas, Santos versus America. Really quickly to end the show, just give me your 3. First of all, obviously the top, your number 1 seed, who you probably is going to make it. A dark horse, and who's definitely not. I mean, who shouldn't have been in the top 8s. So we'll go with you, Jason, really quickly to end the show. Your top, the probably dark horse, and who's definitely not going to win. Obviously, go for it.
Top my favorite is Toluca at this point. They seem like the most consistent team. I worry about Cruz Azul, so my top is Toluca. I have the most confidence in them to make a deep run. I expect them to be there in the semifinal or final at the very least. I think they're up against probably the weakest team right now in Tijuana. I don't like this Tijuana team right now. I don't trust them at all. I think Toluca. It's not going to be a high scoring game, so it could go like there is some variability in that matchup. I don't see a lot of goals coming from Toluca Tijuana, but Tijuana are pretty weak right now. You probably a little bit of Pachuca in there. I have a pretty strong argument for that too. If I'm looking at a dark horse, I don't think you could really call America a dark horse. Santos. I mean, Santos, with the quality in that roster that Eric mentioned earlier, I mean, they could do anything. So you could definitely see them seeing it through. And Leon. I mean, Leon have the quality. They're not, as I mentioned earlier, they're not an 8 seed. So they get through Cruz Azul. Suddenly they're coming up against Toluca. Who knows? Who knows what they could do there? So we'll see.
Nice. So taking Toluca, dark horse maybe between Santos, and obviously the last would be San Diego and Tijuana's favorite, Cholos. Eric, top dark horse, and obviously who shouldn't be there in the top 8.
Well, who shouldn't be there? And I apologize to you in advance, Wiso, but Leon.
Yeah, like a panzazo because we're panza verde, right?
Yeah, I mean, they lucked out. I mean, 20, 23, 24 points shouldn't do it, and that's not being an apologist for America because they had one more, 25. But still, it just speaks to the quality of the league this season. They shouldn't be there, but they have a chance. They have a mathematical, real chance. It's up to them if they want to take it. They definitely have talented players, and if they want to keep playing on, Leon being one of the base teams for Mexico going into the World Cup, then I really do think that they should give it their all, just going into a certain rhythm before the World Cup really the fever takes hold and teams are already kind of assembled for training. Dark horse for me is Pachuca, and this is, for me, it's a 50-50 split for them with Pumas. It's the most even series. I like Pachuca because they are that quintessential day or night team in Mexico. They can give these amazing performances. Ener Valencia, the Liga MX goal scoring champion. Oscar, Conejo Perez, who even at 63 years old is an amazing player. They've got a good amount of young talent. Anytime you can even bring in a guy like Enrique Esqueda, who has had about 284 surgeries, and you can bring him back and he can score a brace in a game, well, then that speaks to how deep your bench is. I think Pachuca is a balanced team, and they can do some damage. But favorite, I'm going to go... What the hell, man? I'll go with Cruz Azul. I'll put the hex on them. They got to be.
Classic move.
The most consistent team throughout the entire season. They have to be. If the Liga MX has any sort of credibility going forward, then that number 1 seed, man. Cruz Azul, 36 points out of 51. Great season from them. If they're able to give their fan base a cup, CONCACAF Champions League title, and a league in 1 year, then the Mayans were right, and we're all screwed. But it happened.
Cesar, all right, with recapping, obviously Cruz Azul and Pumas. That's actually interesting with Pumas, and people don't underestimate the quality of that team, so I like that. And obviously taking Leon as the panzazo team that shouldn't have been there. Cesar, to you, really quickly.
Let's see. Top quick. Okay. Best team, Chivas. Oh, okay. So I'm going to choose Toluca. I'm going to agree with everyone else. I think they have a huge amount of talent. I think, let's see, what we're thinking. The worst one, I think it's going to be Tijuana. I think something to consider is the fact that I think they've only won 1 game away from home this season. And I think that'll be really detrimental during the playoffs. So I think they're just going to get knocked out really quickly. And sleeper, I know they're a big team, but I'm going to choose America just because of how underwhelming they've been this year. And I think they'll have the more favorable schedule going into the playoffs because they wouldn't have to play against Cruz Azul or Toluca until the final. So I'm going to choose with America as my sleeper, although you may not consider them a sleeper. Yeah.
Nice. Different choices. Obviously, Toluca. Agreeing with you guys, Cholos being, I think it's because they're facing Toluca. I mean, facing one of the best, so you're looking at automatically their chances of not making it. I'll go with that. I as much as Leon, I don't see it. I think they're tired, they're done. But we thought they were going to be tired at the Maracanã. We thought they were going to be tired against, whatever. So I don't even see them in my top three. In the three scenario. So I'll go with, I think Santos. I don't know why. I just think Santos will win it. I think they're going to come back from that Libertadores and say, we really messed up and we got to do something. Let's do this for our coach. They're going to have a tough, but after America, I think has got the shot. And then obviously, the sleeper is, for me, I don't know why I'm thinking Pumas, just because everyone, it's just, you have them in there. So I'll be a little bit different from everybody. Santos winning it, Pumas being that's like dark horse, meaning no one's expecting it. I could expect a Cruz America, I could expect even a Leon just because they were winning and they have the talent, but Pumas out of nowhere, this season already became the dark horse. So we'll see what happens.
And look at Pachuca. I mean, just to jump in on Pachuca a little bit, like they're talk about a team that really shouldn't be there. They have home losses this season to Puebla, Atlante, Chivas, Atlas, Toluca. Like this is a team that they're going into Liguilla here, and then they're facing Pumas, who I mean almost like I don't know. I'd really be hard pressed to see.
I think it was awful at the Azteca too. But if you can be that team that gets points away from your stadium, then I think that's also beneficial in the long run. I think I've seen, we've seen teams in Mexico raise that championship trophy because they're so strange and so difficult to figure out. You would think that you would be safe at home, and they get you. And you go back to their stadium, and if they're just able to hang on, I mean, let's think of America's title run. Pumas put up a great fight against them in that quarterfinal match. It was what they were able to do at Seúl. And then in the semifinals, they were also put to the test at Azteca. And even then, that was the best version of that America team. In the final, they won, but they lost that game at Azteca. So it's a very difficult scenario for teams like, or whoever's facing Pachuca, in this case Pumas, to be able to say, oh, wow, we got our work. It's going to be easy work for us to go into Estadio Hidalgo and put a beat down on them, because you go back to Seúl and you're in front of that huge fan base. And what if they pull 1-2 goals on you quickly? You suddenly pressure's on you, not on them. Pachuca's capable of that, but still, man, Liga MX, come on, get your stuff together. You can't have teams that are losing 5 or 6 home games a season contending for the title, in my opinion.
Nice. Well, great little roundup on the league. We'll see where it goes. Obviously, starting this week, we'll be narrowing it down to 4, and obviously getting us ready out there. Hopefully, there are no injuries, especially with any players from El Tri. That's my main concern. If Leon didn't make it, I'm like, all right, at least those guys are out of it. But before we go, definitely want to shout it out to Jason Cruz Azul finally winning a title. He is on here, so I'll give you the last word, man. Take us off. Tell us how happy you were. Give us a hurrah for Cruz Azul finally making and winning something, man. Quickly.
Winning something. I mean, Copa MX. I mean, we're pooping all over that now. Is that what we're doing? I mean,
no, you're right.
It's always a crap tournament until your team wins it.
That's right. That's exactly right. No, I mean, I want the league.
MX,
Hey, so you're gonna go obviously in December. So you'll be, I think, where is it? Where's the World Cup?
The FIFA Club
Morocco.
Morocco. So wow. There you go. So we'll be watching it at 2 a.m. again, and hoping
maybe I'll head over there. Yeah,
Korean teams will disqualify us. Well, congratulations to Cruz Azul, obviously winning something. And
I like Cruz Azul in the Club World Cup. I think that
they're consistent.
Another subcampeonato would be in order.
There you go. That'd be amazing. If we can.
That would be a good result for Mexico.
That would be a great results.
You'd still get made fun of mercilessly.
Oh yeah,
of course.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I was most happy, like when Cruz Azul won, is that all of the just deleted jokes, all of the Cruz Azul jokes that were all queued up,
Just
ready to go.
ready to
When Toluca scored that last minute goal, they all had to just be deleted, and I just heard all of those deletes, and I was like, yes,
Oh, God.
that's what really did it for me.
And it almost happened. Corona, getting that at the end. I'm sure your heart's stopping. All
Pretty much.
right, Cesar, really quickly, the Big Verde Tumblr on Google. That's where we can find you. And at Cesar, what's your Twitter?
Cesar H 1030 at Twitter.
All right, a lot of Mexican abroad. He has a weekly. It'll be coming out tomorrow, I'm sure. And we have that at Footmix Source also at his Tumblr blog. He's got great information on all the Euros. Eric, thank you so much for coming on. Obviously, has so much knowledge and can bring. Please come back to the show. It's just awesome to have you on and bring your Americanist.
It's like I haven't been on in 6 months. Please come back.
Please come back, Eric.
We need you.
We need you. Definitely very awesome. Obviously, I know you have a big presence on Twitter. Anywhere else, if do you write or pretty much just you are the big chief?
Yeah, I do have the remaining English language outlet, which is I do a weekly Xolos column for FoxSportsSD.com. So
right.
if you want to get your English language fix, definitely check it out every Tuesday. And FoxDeportes.com for those of you who aren't afraid of the ñ.
Oh, nice. And then Jason, Soccer Mexicana. Anywhere else? Obviously, where we've seen. I know you do a great recap on all the Liga MX. But where else can we?
Just I spend too much time on Twitter at Soccer Mexicana, so find me there. Yell at me.
Great.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't do the prediction thing for the Liga MX table this time around.
Hey, we'll have time.
No, I meant through Jason.
No, I gotta bring that back.
Oh, Jason.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, bring that back.
I mean, I owned it last time, so I don't know if I want to just keep embarrassing you guys. So
Cruz Azul, Toluca, Pachuca, America.
that's pretty good.
They're getting through.
There it is.
That Pumas. What?
I don't even want to say Leon, so I'll just stick with that. So,
Just
all right,
jinx it.
guys.
I don't want to talk about it.
This has been another successful Mexican soccer show here with Footmex Live. We have enjoyed, obviously, a great hour and almost 15 minutes of it. Please leave us some comments and spread the word. Tweeting the link out to your friends, share it on Facebook, like it, whatever you have to do. So we can keep going. We'll have a weekly show leading up to the World Cup, and we'll have more shows coming up, guys. Thanks again for joining on. Any last words, everyone? No? Vamos el Tri.
Vamos Azul.
Vamos. Cruz Azul. All right, guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you some other time.